Welcome to Tuff Trax. I'm Richard Leake with Army Armstrong, and this week we're in Long Island, New York for the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Then it's the TNT All-American Pulling Series from the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky's Freedom Hall.
As we've already seen, Richard, Bigfoot has made it 3 in a row from Toronto, Canada, but the other drivers are anxious to put an end to that streak. And then it's the most prestigious indoor pull of them all, the championship tractor pull.
TNT Motorsports action is right around the corner on Tuff Trax. Hello, everyone. We are inside the Nassau Coliseum, Long Island, New York, the home of champions. All the banners you see hanging there, the banners of the former Stanley Cup hockey champions, the New York Islanders. But tonight, Army, it is the kings of monster truck racing, and we have got an interesting track for the guys.
Well, the track setup, Richard, is going to be a straight track, side-by-side running. The first obstacle will be a mogul. Then they're going to go over actually 2 sets of cars, a total of 20 cars in the competition. And look who comes out first for the qualifying session.
That is Bigfoot, driver Andy Brass. He has got a brand new look we're going to talk about in a little while. He's going for his 4th win in a row, but a guy that's going to try to stop him is Rob Litzow, the defending TNT Motorsports National Champion, USA 1 Chevrolet. And Army, after we get through in the Nassau Coliseum, we're going to bounce over to another beautiful arena. We're talking about Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky, for the most prestigious indoor pulling event in the world. We're talking about the National Farm Machinery Show pulling event in Louisville, Kentucky.
Richard, the pullers themselves, the fans from all over the country gather once a year at Freedom Hall to watch this competition. We're watching the 72 modified tractor tonight. The vehicle we're looking at right now is the defending national champion on the professional TNT circuit, Pat Frills out of Island, Kentucky. He relied on all Chevrolet to make the horsepower to win the championship. However, some of the high-dollar hybrid engines are here, such as the All-Pro Auto Parts War Wagon of Paul Norman out of Charlotte, North Carolina. All the big boys are here this evening.
Well, it's the major league of professional truck and tractor pulling from Louisville, Kentucky, and also the top guns of monster truck racing. We'll be right back with qualifying on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And welcome back to Tuff Trax, TNT Motorsports with the Monster Truck Challenge, ready to rock and roll the halls, Army, once again. Thousands of fans on hand as we get qualifying underway. And, of course, qualifying very important. I'll have you explain that in just a moment. Our first driver out, though, is Bennett Clark, the former rodeo bull rider. Against the clock only. Depending upon...
It's a new truck. It's the longest truck on the tour, 140-inch wheelbase. That is to his advantage on the outdoor course. On the indoors, we don't know if it's an advantage or not. He relies on all Chevrolet for the horsepower. One of the crowd favorites by the paint combination. Richard, you notice the pink and white. The people really love to watch the Clydesdale. Clark will get the first qualifying shot in. We'll have his time in just a second.
I know Bennett Clark doesn't like it, but I like calling his vehicle, as you see the time, 7.03. I like calling his vehicle Pretty in Pink after the Molly Ringwald movie that was out a few years ago. It's a great vehicle, and Bennett has really been up and coming on the circuit. Coming out next, look at this new look of Andy Brass. Bigfoot from St. Louis, Missouri. He has decided if he's going after the national championship in 1989, he wants to look rough and rugged. And he's debuted this new look tonight, but it's the same old Bigfoot.
Well, you know, we were talking the other day about what people call Bigfoot. The drivers that run against him call it the devil with the blue dress on. And Andy Brass doing a drive, and you're going to see why in just a moment. A little bit rough qualifying shot. He gets some good air. Qualifying time looks real good, Richard.
All right, he's trying to beat 7.03, and he did it easily. 6.13 for Andy Brass and Bigfoot. And, Army, how important is being the top qualifier here?
Well, the qualifying seats you in the next round of competition. So quick time will draw slow time, and you'll eventually meet in the middle with first and second. Kind of an interesting story coming out next, Richard.
This is Gary DeMauro, Taurosaurus Rex. It's a 1946 Chevrolet. He's powered by a 427 engine, but, Army, I'm surprised he's even here today.
Well, his wife is expecting a child any minute. He's close to his hometown. He's out of New Jersey. He came over to run with us, but believe me, he wants to finish this qualifying shot and go stand next to the telephone to see if that all-important phone call will come.
And he took it nice and easy over the course, 8.39 seconds. Now, a lot of times, these drivers will not try to run a quick time. They want to protect that equipment, don't they?
Well, what happens, for some reason, braking seems to be a problem in the later rounds of competition. And they do exactly what you say for that reason, as Jess Berge comes out, the mountain man himself out of Wyoming, Michigan, Richard.
It is a 1987 Chevrolet, and Jesse has been getting better and better each and every week on this TNT circuit. It is called Playing for Keeps. It's a Chevrolet. It's got a 446 engine in it.
Well, he's teamed up with the fellas out of Memphis, Tennessee, that manufacture the competition camshaft. He makes plenty of horsepower. His problem seems to lie in the chassis department. Jesse still has some work in front of him.
You know, Jesse is a big guy. 7.95, by the way, is his qualifying time. He's a real big guy, as you know, Army. But you know where he started his racing career?
I have no idea.
In a soapbox derby at the age of 12. For some reason I can't picture a big old mountain man in a soapbox derby. Let's get ready for a real hombre. I call him the cowboy. It's Bob Breen. He's out of Jefferson City, Missouri, driving the Wild Hair Chevrolet, powered by 454 cubic inch engine.
Well, he and his brother run the tour. They run 2 different trucks. They've just teamed up with Lunati Camshaft and Research and Development Department, and believe me, they have found some horsepower. Look at this qualifying shot.
Pretty good qualifying time, 7.54 seconds. Army, as we're about halfway through qualifying, have you noticed anything about the track that might be interesting to the drivers?
No, personally, I haven't. Both lanes, you qualify, not everybody runs out of the same lane. They switch back and forth, so the lanes look relatively the same.
All right, as we get ready for John Moore, he is out of the great state of Tennessee. It's the No Problem Ford Bronco, 460 cubic inch blown Ford engine, and he's got a new design on the truck this year.
Well, his new graphics on the truck, his graphics are playing an important part on these vehicles. They go across the country. The people that love the Fords love this truck. He's one of the strong independents, 460 supercharged Ford engine, short wheelbase. And Moore seems to be a little bit more aggressive this year than he was last year, Richard, chasing these national championship points.
As we see his qualifying time, relatively slow, 8.66, but I'll tell you, I would not be surprised to see John Moore get a couple of wins under his belt in this competition in Nassau Coliseum. Coming out next, one of the guys that is expected to challenge for the national championship this year on the TNT circuit, it's Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher. Gary out of Wadesboro, North Carolina, 27 years old. He's been on the monster truck circuit now 4 years, and he's running that big 468 Chevy engine.
1989 Chevrolet sheet metal, 468 cubic inch alcohol burning Chevrolet. He's going to come out. The Bigfoot crew's watching his qualifying shot. Look at the run, Richard. Awfully strong.
That may be our quickest time of the day. You hear the crowd yelling. It is 5.79. Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher is now our new top qualifier.
Richard, qualifying is so tight as we get ready for John Breen to come out with a Mad Dog. Now, his brother qualified a moment ago. Let's see if he learned anything from his brother that he can put into this run. He'll be working on the left side of the track. Goes by the name of the Mad Dog. Kind of looks like a sprint car with the wing on it, doesn't it, Richard?
We're going to see as he brings... This is not the vehicle that is supposed to be the faster of the two, is it, with the Breen boys?
No, really, the concept is kind of unique. One brother runs a rear engine, the other brother runs a front engine. They're just trying to find the right combination. They're still looking for it, Richard.
Well, John Breen just got the 5th fastest qualifying time of the day, 6.85 seconds. So pretty good run for that hybrid Chevrolet, the Mad Dog. And here he comes, the defending TNT Motorsports national champion. We call him the Rowdy One. It's Rod Litzow, USA 1, carrying the Chevrolet banner.
Keep an eye on him. Everybody's watching. Takes a good shot. Bam! Looking super strong. He's going to make a great qualifying run with that True Value Hardware Chevrolet, Richard.
He makes a super qualifying run. He is our top qualifier. 5.29 seconds. He was rocking the halls of the Nassau Coliseum, Army.
You know, as we've gone through the year, he started as a rookie last year, but believe me, he's an old veteran now. Speaking of veterans, look who's coming out next. Darvin Marvin Smith.
It is a Stauffer Chevrolet from Arnold, Missouri. It's got 468 cubic inch of power. And, of course, Marvin, a legendary driver on this circuit in just the 5 years that he's been there.
Well, a lot of the Chevrolet people around the country really identify with this truck. As Bigfoot was the first Ford to really establish himself with the national recognition, Stauffer was the name everybody tied to the Chevrolet. Good run. These guys are really getting after this qualifying session.
Check this time out as we get it up on the screen, 6.09. That is our 3rd fastest qualifying time. What has happened to Bigfoot? He is all the way down to 4th in qualifying now.
That is definitely a unique situation. It's going to hurt him later in the field, Richard. Remember, the pairings are set according to qualifying.
And we are down to our final qualifier here in the Nassau Coliseum. It's Gary Wiggins. Mopar Magic. It is one of the few Dodge machines you're going to see on the circuit.
Well, we've seen the Fords qualify this afternoon. We've seen the Chevrolets qualify. Now comes the Dodge camp. Let's see what he's going to do. He'll be working out of that left lane. Gary is a strong independent puller, goes by the name of Mopar Magic, but right now he has his work cut out for him.
Mopar Magic with a pretty good time. 6.92. That is going to put him 6th fastest. So here's our top qualifiers. 3rd fastest was Marvin Smith and Stauffer. 2nd goes to Carolina Crusher. Our top qualifier, though, is USA 1. We'll be back to Louisville, Kentucky in just a moment on Tuff Trax. And welcome back to Tuff Trax, the All-American Pulling Series. TNT Motorsports now in Freedom Hall, Louisville, Kentucky for the championship tractor pull. And Army, the guys we're about to see are members of the Major League of Truck and Tractor Pulling.
Well, they're definitely professional pullers, Richard, and to compete at this level, you've got to be serious about it. Speaking of serious, look sitting on the starting line right now. Out of Mayfield, Kentucky, it'll be Robert Elliott. He drives the Fancy Farmer that is powered by the Millerton engine, who so many years ago dominated the sport of drag racing. A lot of the drag racing technology is finding its way into the pulling sport, not with just one engine, with 3 of them.
And of course, Robert Elliott is our test puller. That means he is going to try to set the sled, and he's got a pretty good run going.
What a run, Richard. Look at the ground speed. Beautiful run for the Kentucky native.
Our test puller with a distance 2:19.17. Now the track officials will get together to determine whether or not they're going to keep the sled the way it is and make Robert's pull official, or they'll reset it and come back, Robert will, with another pull later on.
Well, Richard, that number 1 spot's kind of unique. The reason being it is determined solely by the luck of the draw. At the drivers' meeting, these drivers draw numbers to see who's going to pull number 1. That person assumes the guinea pig role.
Well, you know, tonight we're watching the 7,200-pound class of modified tractors, but there's other various modified tractor classes. To get an explanation, here's Mike Goss.
Multi-engine or modified tractors compete in 4 weight categories. We have 5,800 pounds, 7,200 pounds, 9,200 pounds, and 11,200 pounds. That's the maximum these vehicles can weigh with the driver aboard. Now, in the old days, when there was only 1 or 2 engines on tractors, they made weight by adding literally dead weight. These are suitcase weights that you would find on a normal farm tractor. But these days, to make weight, they add what I call live weight, which is raw horsepower engines. Some tractors in the heavier classes have as many as 7 engines on a tractor. This is the 7,200-pound class we're watching tonight, and there's 3 engines aboard.
Well, you're looking at Robert Elliott out of Mayfield, Kentucky. He just made the test pull of the night. And, Army, we get the word that the sled is declared official.
Well, the sled's official. Elliott has an option now. Will he take the pull or turn it down? We're going to work our way over and find out right now, Richard.
Well, he got a pulling distance of 219.17 feet. I would be very surprised if he turned that pulling distance down. Let's find out now, though.
Robert, are you happy enough with that pull to take it?
Yeah, that was a pretty good run. I was satisfied with it.
How's the track holding the horsepower tonight?
Well, it did real good. It turned 8 grand here, and I'm real happy with the run. It's gonna take some power tonight, and I think we got tractors here to do it.
All right, let's move out our second puller of the evening. That is Gary Browder, the Night Stalker out of Greenfield, Ohio. Army, I know you're down there at the starting line. Mike is at the finish line. Are these guys getting a clean shot from the line, and are they starting at the same place?
No, they're moving around on the starting line. This track is known as the best biting track in the country, and you can spot the sled 40 feet wide any place you want. Browder comes down now. He's giving away a whole lot of horsepower, Richard. You notice he runs a carbureted engine. He does not run a supercharged engine, and that'll cost the Night Stalker quite a bit of distance.
A lot of distance, 158.56. That is way behind our lead distance of Robert Elliott at 219.17. As we get ready next for R.W. Spillman, it's called The Revenge of Kimo Sabe. That's right. He's out of Madison, Indiana.
You know, this guy he's a clown. I really enjoy being around him. He has a ball wherever he goes. I asked him, where'd you get the name? Because for an announcer, the name Kimo Sabe is great. It really gets the crowd working. He said, when I was a kid and would watch a Lone Ranger, I'd always pull for the Indians. Kimo Sabe, that's where the name came from. So I hung on to it. He put it on a pulling vehicle. Let's see what he can do out of Madison, Indiana.
never did get the ground speed, Army. As we see his distance here, 152.65. He had problems right off the bat.
The back engine didn't seem to be working, Richard, at all.
All right, so a tough luck pull for the Kemosabe himself, R.W. Spillman, out of Madison, Indiana. We'll see if our next guy has a little bit better luck. He drives a tractor called the Persuader. He is out of Iowa Falls, Iowa. This is Troy Washkow.
Now, Troy's running the Allison aircraft engine, Richard. We've seen the high-performance automobile engines. Now we're going to have a shot by one of the Allison aircraft engines. Notice a whistling sound. The left side of the engine, a little bit of smoke coming out of it, but he developed some ground speed. Looks pretty good at this point from our angle, but he's working across the track.
He kicked over to his left side. It is going to cost him in distance. 156.71, but it's fascinating, Army, to hear the whine of that Allison aircraft engine versus the automotive engine.
Well, once you hear the Allison, you'll never forget it. It's kind of like the Banshee, the scream in the night.
I don't know if I really should introduce our next puller or not. He comes all the way from Evansville, Indiana. He drives the Happy Hooker. This is Robert Blesch coming out, Arm.
Well, Robert was involved in an incident where he lost his right arm, but that hadn't slowed him down one bit. He just does everything with his left hand, and he does awfully good at it. The name, by the way, Richard, came to the fact that you hook the pulling vehicle to the sled. That's where the hooker comes in.
I knew that. And he's happy because normally he makes good pulls, right?
Makes awfully good pulls. The Evansville, Indiana native trying to lay some horsepower down on some tough bluegrass clay. Ground speed is not there. Not going to be the run that he was looking for.
And we see his distance. It is, as a matter of fact, it's the shortest distance of the night, 142.86. What seemed to be the problem, though, Arm?
Down on horsepower. He has to weigh the same amount of weight. He was just trying to pull the same sled with less engines. He's only running 2-engine combination.
Coming out next is a guy that's kind of like a neighbor of yours down in Owensboro, Kentucky, Donnie Alexander. It's called the Solar Sources tractor.
Well, Donnie was involved in this sport for quite a few years. He got out of it, spent a lot of time working with this farm. Now he's gone back, teamed up with the multi-engine Chevrolet combination, an Engler chassis. We're glad to have him back in the sport. And believe me, everybody out of the Owensboro, Kentucky area are keeping an eye on this kid. He was on top of the sport once. He's trying to get back there.
And this is a brand new tractor he's driving tonight. It sounds good.
Good ground speed. Donnie. Engine went away on him.
I mean,
boy, it went away in a hurry. Now, when an engine dies that quick, it's an indication of a blower belt or something letting go. I don't know. We don't see anything hanging down. A tough break on the comeback trail for Alexander.
Boy, did you hear the silence in the audience, though. Everyone was covering their ears, waiting for a super run, and just dead silence when the engine goes away.
Well, anybody that followed the sport, they knew that Donnie was coming back into it. They knew the potential, and they were watching him. Speaking of potential, look who's coming out now.
Kurt Marling. He's out of Zanesville, Ohio. It's called the Steel Breeze, and, of course, Zanesville is known for producing some great pullers.
Well, it also, Ohio is known for producing great pullers, great street rods, great drag racers. Right now, they're all chasing the Mayfield, Kentucky Robert Elliott, and they're not going to do it. Elliott's run looks better and better as we go through this class, Richard.
144.67 for the Steel Breeze of Kurt Marling. And why, Army, was our test puller the one that gets most of the distance as we get ready for a dandy we'll talk about in a minute.
I don't think that the number one position doesn't have anything to do with it. Elliott runs a multi-horsepower engine. Now, keep an eye on Pat Frills, Island, Kentucky, national champion, Chevrolet for horsepower. This guy can put Elliott away. Horsepower to horsepower, it's going to be an even cost. Watch that right hand, he nails the throttle. Ground speed comes up, Frills is going after Elliott.
He is not going to get him, though. Way short, 175.67. A little surprising distance there for the defending TNT Motorsports national champion.
Well, you know, in the sport of professional pulling, these guys are starting to make niches for themselves. That kid right now is on top.
Well, let's go to Mike Goss with Pat Friel.
Pat, you're in second place, but that can't be the run you were looking for.
No, not real well. We got off a pretty good start. Back motor leaned out and detonated on us and lost ground speed and horsepower, but that's the way it goes.
We're going to be back with more pulling action from Louisville, Kentucky in a few minutes. TNT's Go-Go the Gorilla will bring you side-by-side monster truck racing from Long Island, New York when we return. TNT Motorsports welcomes you back to Tuff Trax, the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. I'm Richard Leake along with Army Armstrong, and here's our pairings after qualifying. Top qualifier USA 1 and Rod Litzow, he'll get a bye run in the first round. Then it's going to be fifth fastest Mad Dog against number 10, Taurosaurus Rex. Third fastest Stomper takes on number 8, Wild Hare. We'll follow those matchups with the fourth fastest Bigfoot taking on ninth fastest Playing for Keeps. Number 6, Mopar Magic. Number 11, No Problem, go head-to-head. Then we're going to see Clydesdale and Bennett Clark. He was the 7th fastest, taking on the Carolina Crusher, our second fastest qualifier tonight. And Army, we're going to kick it all off with a bye run by the top qualifier tonight. That is Rowdy Rod Litzow, USA 1, the Chevrolet.
Comes off the starting line. Now, Richard, he's not backpedaling at all. He's making a decent run. He's trying to check out that side of the track. He qualified out of one lane, had a bye run, so he went to the other side, so he'll get a feel for the track.
And a pretty smooth run there for Rod Litzow. As you said, he just wanted to tell, what in the world are those lights? What is that sound? That is a guy from right down the street out of New Jersey. It is Taurosaurus Rex coming out with Gary DeMauro.
Gary is kind of an interesting individual. We told you during the qualifying session about his wife expecting a child. He wants to get into this run and get it over as quick as possible. Believe me, as soon as he finishes a run, he'll go and stand next to the telephone. He's just about an hour from home. But right now, he has his hands full of Missouri Mad Dog Chevrolet. John Bream has arrived. Look at that, a good run for the Mad Dog.
John Bream gets the win. Taurosaurus Rex is going to, well, I guess hook it back up and go to the pits and wait for that phone call, hopefully, Army. But John Bream and the Mad Dog Chevy has gotten the win here. He is going to move on into the quarterfinal competition.
Okay, now the name Breen comes up again. We told you about the True Brothers. Here comes Bob Breen. He runs a rear engine combination. On his right will be Marvin Smith with a Stomper Chevrolet. Looks like a good run. Side by side, Smith pulls out on him in that right lane and takes the win.
Marvin Smith powered over that first set of jump cars, and he has gotten a big win. Stomper, one of the favorites up here in New York.
Marvin Smith takes a Stomper Chevrolet to a win out of that right lane. Marvin, we've already noticed tonight there's a definite lane difference out there.
I've only run the right lane so far, but I know one thing. When you come up there first set of cars, it's rough.
Rough? You mean it throws you out of shape or it's rough landing?
It throws you out of shape, and all you can do is get in the gas pedal and try to straighten it up. Because you just go sideways from side to side. You just got to pull it out.
So lane choice the rest of the night is going to be determined by qualifying. It was awfully important qualifying session earlier this evening.
Yes, I'm going to take a real good look at the next couple races and decide which lane I want my next run. I'm not sure yet.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Tell you what, I would not be surprised to see a win tonight from Marvin Smith in the championship. And let's get ready side by side. It's Bigfoot, Andy Brass, and Jesse Berge playing for keeps and no contest.
Andy Brass. Oh, some heads-up driving. Believe me, you know, this is no carnival. This is competition. And Andy Brass was driving it right out the other end of the building if he had to take that win.
Let's see a replay of this. Andy Brass had the lead right from the beginning, but what made him sky coming up here at the end, Army?
Okay, watch him right now when he sets down and bounces to the right. Now, he's got to keep the foot in the throttle. Your natural instinct would be to say to hit the brake to stop. No, you've got to throttle up on these things to get them squared away.
So a win for Bigfoot. Rod Litzow, our top qualifier, he kind of enjoyed that, as did the many fans here at the Nassau Coliseum. Here comes John Moore, the no-problem Ford Bronco, taking on the only Dodge in the competition, Mopar Magic and Gary Wiggins.
Green light comes on. John Moore is due. Everybody knows his car's going to come up, and look at this. This could be the night. John Moore seems to have found the trick combination out of that right lane for the Ford.
John Moore and no problem got the win, but boy, did you see him sky high. That new Ford Bronco is in the quarterfinals.
Well, John Moore, beautiful job. You guys put on one heck of a run out there.
Oh, yeah, I was a little worried about coming down here to the end, Army, but I guess it looked pretty close. I saw him. He was right there.
Yeah, it was a real tight run. You mentioned something that's kind of interesting to us. What goes through your mind? I mean, you got to concentrate on leaving the starting line, going over the cars, but there is a wall down here. When do you start thinking about stopping that truck as compared to driving it through?
Just before I hit the second set of cars, I was just hoping it didn't air out too much and I'd be able to land and have a little room to hit the brakes.
We'll see you in the next round. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And we're ready for our final first-round matchup. It is the rough and rugged Bennett Clark and the pretty and pink Clydesdale Chevrolet. He takes on the yellow Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter.
Porter and Clark go head-to-head. Porter working for the win.
Gary Porter has done it again. A a big win over the Clydesdale machine of Bennett Clark. That is going to wrap up round number 1 of action here in the Nassau Coliseum. When we come back, it is more great tractor pulling from Louisville, Kentucky on Tuff Trax. Welcome back to Tuff Trax and the All-American Pulling Series. We're in Louisville, Kentucky. Modified tractor competition. Here's our top 5 thus far. In 5th, Kimosabe. Then it's Persuader, Night Stalker. Pat Friel's defending national champion, Dollar Devil, is 2nd. And Robert Elliott, the fancy farmer, way up there all by himself in the number 1 spot with a pulling distance of 219.17. We get ready next for Jerome Balder and the Coyote Tractor. He is out of Hamilton, Michigan.
Hamilton, Michigan native lining up right in the middle of the track. More and more, Robert Elliott's run looks to be a super run. That number 1 spot, nobody wanted it. Elliott had to take it, and he's on top of this thing. However, the Coyote's going after him.
Oh, nice looking run, Army.
Oh, the weight looks perfect. Good run. Good run. The track's still holding a lot of horsepower.
He is not going to take over the lead, but he will take over 2nd place. Balder with a distance of 199.75. A great shot for him, Army.
Well, Richard, he showed him the track will still hold the horsepower. He's on the top end with Mike Goss. Let's see what he has to say about that super run.
I'll tell you one thing he'll say. He's got to say he's happy.
Jerome, you just passed up TNT's national points champion for 2nd place. You feel pretty good about that?
Well, I guess that feels real good right now. There's some good ones coming up here, and we'll see what happens. But it makes me feel real good at this point.
Hey, good luck to you.
Thank you much.
We're continuing through the field, and Army, that distance again of Robert Elliott. Our test puller tonight of 219.17 almost looks unbeatable as we get ready for Dennis Biddle. It's called the Troublemaker Tractor. He is from Falmouth, Kentucky.
Biddle out of the Bluegrass State sits patiently. This is the first time we've had an opportunity to see this vehicle run. Now, he's giving away a whole lot of horsepower, Richard. Still weighs 7,200 pounds, still trying to pull 50,000 pounds, but he's trying to do it with just 1 engine, and it doesn't work. Whoa, he lifted an engine right off the starting line.
He lifted his only engine. Boy, that hurts when that happens.
Boy, that was an expensive run. Backfire through the blower.
You can see his distance, only 67.09, and boy, I have waited all night to see this guy. It is Paul Norman, the guy in the black hat. It's the War Wagon, sponsored by All Pro Auto Parts. He is a dandy, and some say unbeatable indoors.
Everybody knows this is the guy that could put Elliott away. A little bit of chassis bounce on the starting line. Wheels up, good run, ground speeds here. All Pro War Wagon going after the lead. Richard, I don't believe we're going to do it.
No, we're not. 208.14. That is only going to be good enough for 2nd place with Paul Norman and the War Wagon. And you know, Paul just made a super run, which only goes to prove that Robert Elliott, our current leader, must have made a fantastic run tonight.
Paul, a lot of hopping and skipping on the starting line. What happened down there?
Well, we noticed later in the class that the tractors didn't seem to be getting out of the hole the way they were getting out. We tried to backpedal it a little bit and slam the tires into the track. That didn't really work for us, so we'll try again next time.
Paul Norman out of Charlotte, North Carolina, holding the number 2 slot right now. As coming out next is Art Helm. It's called Just Another Tractor. Art is out of, I like the name of this city, Army. It's Lucknow, Ontario, and he could use all the luck now he could get.
Well, Richard, as you know, for this event, people come from all over America, and in this case, north of the border, the Canadians are represented. He runs a twin-engine aircraft combination. Looky here, some good ground speed. The Canadians making an awfully good run down that right side.
198.07 is the word we get. That is going to be good enough for 4th place right now, Arm.
He's got to be tickled to death with that. You know, this sport is kind of interesting because at Louisville, they keep you indoors. The top 3 stay indoors. We'll tell you more about that in a minute.
As we get ready next for John Killian out of Houstonia, Missouri, and he is driving once again. Look at the engine combination.
Notice the driver pumping his feet on the starting line. Now, once they leave the starting line, there's very, very little weight on the front wheel, so the steering wheel basically useless. You steer with your feet. You steer with the rear brakes, Richard. Everybody's going after Elliott. Let's see if this might be the man to put him away.
The two-engine combination is not going to do it for John Killian. 160.81. Army, if you don't have 3 or more engines, you're not going to do it tonight.
No, and I tell you what, you might be watching a Cinderella story here. Remember, Elliott drew the #1 spot. He's from Kentucky. We're in Kentucky. He's your leader. Cinderella time it might be, but he has to get past 2 more pullers, and believe me, if they can hammer him to the wall, they're going to do it. Who comes out next?
Well, actually, we've got 3 to go, Army. John McManus is our next one. It is the tractor called the Earthquake, and he is running the triple-engine combination.
He also relies on the Chevrolet for horsepower. Let's see what's going to happen. Rolls the left side of the track. Earthquake. Oh, speaking of Earthquake, he blew the middle engine went away on him, and immediately he shuts it down.
Now, Army, what would cause, like, say, the middle engine to go instead of the first or the back engine? Any particular thing?
Fuel mixture, detonation, or what have you. It doesn't look like it was it was a bad problem, but we don't see a lot of smoke coming out. So what happened, as soon as the engine broke, it locked up, and he very wisely shuts it down. There's your leader. That could be your Cinderella story.
Now we're down to 2 to go, and the next one is Ron Washkow. He is out of Iowa Falls, Iowa. He calls himself the Top Gun. He's going to try to get on top with this pull.
You were talking about names a minute ago. This is one of my favorites, the Top Gun. You can listen to the whistle and tell it's an Allison aircraft engine coming after you. Just pure raw horsepower, Richard, but he's not going to be able to muscle it past the bluegrass puller of Elliott, a 185.
A 185.54. That is good enough, though, Army, for a 5th place. And with the level of competition we've got here tonight, being in 5th place is quite an accomplishment.
It definitely is. Remember, a moment ago I said something about the top 3. Well, there's a big award ceremony that takes place for the top 3 finishers. Everybody wants to stay in the building. The Survivor is trying to do just that. He's trying to survive this competition, as he'll be coming out next. Another Allison-powered, this one turbocharged on the front. You notice the flame starting to come out. They're getting ready to dial the horsepower into the Louisville clay.
And this is our final puller. It is Dave Rursch. He is out of Reynolds, Illinois. He must go past 219.17 feet to win it tonight. Robert Elliott out of Mayfield, Kentucky is sitting in the #1 slot. Here goes Dave Rursch.
Well, it's amazing. The track is still holding the horsepower, but Elliott's going to hang on for what it must be one of the biggest wins of his life.
The distance for Dave, 155.06. That's only good enough for 10th place. Our winner, Robert Elliott.
Robert, you've been pulling here a lot of years, and you've never won. This has got to be great for you.
Yeah, this is a highlight of my tractor pulling career, winning here at Louisville. I pulled here 12 years in a row. 4th and 5th, the best I've gotten, and this is really great. It really is. I really, really love it.
Now, you hooked early in the class, and nobody really came too close to you. Do you think the track went away for these other guys?
I don't really think so, because this track historically stays in good shape. I just pulled out all the stops for this run. I don't have the resources to run this hard at all the pulls, and I wanted to do it here at Louisville. I've shot my boost up on my blowers and just pulled out all the stoppers and let her go.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, let's run down our top 5 standings tonight here in the 7,200-pound modified tractor competition. As we see Robert Elliott get aboard his tractor, the Fancy Farmer. Robert, remember now, told us that he pulled out all the stops tonight on a limited budget. That was a risky thing to do for him, Army.
Richard, there's one big granddaddy of them all. He won it tonight.
Here's the way they lined up. In 5th was the Top Gun. 4th, Just Another Tractor. 3rd place went to Coyote. 2nd, Paul Norman and the War Wagon. But your winner in Louisville, Kentucky, the Fancy Farmer of Robert Elliott. And when we come back, it is into the quarterfinals of the Monster Truck Challenge. It's coming your way straight ahead on Tuff Trax. TNT Motorsports welcomes you back to Tuff Trax. The Monster Truck Challenge continues in Nassau Coliseum. Here's the way they're pairing off in the quarterfinals. USA 1, which got a bye run in the opening round, takes on our 2nd fastest loser, Mopar Magic. Then we're going to have the Mad Dog, which beat Tarosaurus Rex, taking on Stomper after his win over Wild Hair. Bigfoot will come out to take on the No Problem Ford, which beat Mopar Magic in round number 1. And then we're going to see coming out last, it'll be the Carolina Crusher once again taking on Clydesdale, who proved to be our fastest loser in round 1. But here we go to rock and roll side by side. Rod Litzow, your national champion, USA 1, going up against Gary Wiggins, our only Dodge Mopar Magic.
Litzow, the kid, the rookie, the national champion. Watch him. He's going to try to air out that big white Chevrolet on the right side. If anybody can get a lot of air, it's going to be Litzow. Whoa! Hey, no more.
Sounded like stereo there, Army. Litzow gets the win in USA 1. He moves into the semifinals with that beautiful 1988 Chevrolet Silverado. Here's Army.
Can you win this thing in New York City?
I'm going to give it my best. I think I can.
That's not good enough. Are you going to win, yes or no?
Yes, I will.
The air of confidence, Army. Coming out next, another pretty confident guy. It is Starvin' Marvin Smith, the Stomper Chevrolet. A lot of kids around the country have their little Stomper monster truck toys they got under the Christmas tree this year. He is taking on another dandy of a Chevy driver, John Breen of Mad Dog.
John Breen came out like a rocket to left lane, but look at Smith come back on him. Marvin Smith got to have a big grin on his face during this interview. I'm heading that way, Richard.
I thought he had lost it. I thought John Breen had the upset. I thought wrong. Your winner is the Stomper.
Okay, Marvin, what happened on the run? They look violent out there.
Well, what happened was, I think when I came off the first set of cars, my front drive shaft pulled out of socket, and I was running on the rear wheels, and I hit the cars, and it got squirrely on me. I just had to gas it and pull it out.
Okay, I want you to look over your right shoulder. Look at the damage you did right there where the left front wheel dug in. That had to be a scary feeling.
It was. I didn't know where it was going to go. All you can do is hang on and do your best to drive it out. That's all we get paid for.
Well, we'll let you and the crew get back. See you in the next round of elimination.
Thank you very much.
Coming out next is a beautiful Ford Bronco of John Moore. It's called No Problem. He's out of Lafayette, Tennessee. That's a brand new truck. Let's take a look at it.
Well, for those of you that follow the Monster Truck Tour with us, No Problem is something you're familiar with. And No Problem seems to have a new attitude this year. Standing with me right now in Long Island, New York is John Moore. And John's got something up his sleeve this year, a brand new truck. Can you tell us a little bit about it, John?
Yeah, well, we went out and used up the other truck last year to just sort of wore it out, and we decided to be a little more competitive, get into the points championship run this year, and go after the big trucks. We figured we needed a little bigger truck and a little better, so we went out and put one together, and just not sure how it's going to work. There's a few bugs in the new truck, but we're working at it.
Okay, specifically about the truck itself, what kind of body is it?
Well, it's a Ford Bronco, a 1989 sheet metal. It's a flopper body. We've gone with the flopper body, all steel, to try and make it lighter and get the weight down.
Okay, what about the engine combination?
Engines, 460. We've decided that this year it had to be a blower motor like most everybody else to be competitive.
Transmission and drivetrain?
Well, transmission's a beefed up Ford C6, and we're trying to stay forward. It's harder to do, but that transmission Ford C6, we run a gearbox instead of a big old transfer case. That's more weight saving there, and run the 20-ton Clark axles for reliability.
1989, is that going to be the year that you start winning on this national championship trail?
I believe we've got a real good chance of doing something good this year.
We want to wish you luck. We're going to be watching you the rest of the year, and remember, if you're a Ford fan, it's 100% Ford. It's called No Problem.
Well, he's got the truck. Now is the right driver behind the wheel. Last year, John Moore was named the 1988 TNT Motorsports Overachiever Award winner, Army.
Well, and that award was voted on by his competitors. Everybody knows that more is due.
And here we go. It's Ford against Ford. Bigfoot, Andy Brass taking on John Moore, and No Problem. It ought to be an easy race for Bigfoot the way he's been running.
Well, Richard, not going to be the case. John Moore pulls both triggers and puts Bigfoot away.
Upset of the season.
What a run. And the people are loving every minute of it, Richard. What a run.
I am stunned right now with that win by John Moore.
Well, it's got to be considered one of the major upsets of the year. John Moore, congratulations. You got these people standing and cheering.
Thank you very much. I sure do appreciate it. I really didn't believe I was in it, but I don't know. We must have took a bad turn or something.
He took kind of a strange bounce, but you were ahead of him when he was in trouble. I mean, you jumped and went out on him, John.
Well, all I was doing was looking ahead to see what we were doing. I tried to do the best I could.
The truck feel good for the night? Can you win this thing?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to try. We're going to give it a shot.
Now, I'm going to ask you again, yes or no? Are you going to win this event tonight?
We're going to go for it. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get them.
I am still stunned. Super job. Way to go, John Moore. Let's go back side by side. It is Carolina Crusher Gary Porter against Bennett Clark in Clydesdale. Georgia against North Carolina.
Whoa! Foul start. Bennett Clark. Well,
that's a no-no.
You can't blame him. I tell you what happened. He was beaten by this truck in the previous round. What he thought he could do was if he left, Al Goss may turn the light at the same time he left. Not the case. Porter waits patiently on the starting line. We'll see Porter again. We will not see Clydesdale.
All right, so that is going to wrap up our quarterfinal action of the Monster Truck Challenge. Say goodbye to Bennett Clark and Clydesdale. He's been disqualified. When we come back, it is the Final Four in the Nassau Coliseum as we return with Tuff Trax. The Monster Truck Challenge continues with TNT Motorsports. We're in the semifinals. Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Leake. It's going to be USA 1 taking on Stauffer, and then we're going to see a heck of a matchup. No problem after his upset win over Bigfoot faces the Carolina Crusher. Army, we're ready to go, and our first matchup is Chevy against Chevy. It is Stauffer against USA 1.
Well, Richard, a moment ago, Ford against Ford, no problem, pulled the upset. Now Marvin Smith's trying to do the same thing, and he's not going to do it. Litzow is here to play hardball. Whoa, some good... Richard, we're standing at the end of the track, and these guys are scaring us to death tonight.
Litzow, Rowdy Rod is moving into the championship round with that resounding win over Stauffer.
Well, let's definitely turn it into a street fight in New York City, but son, you're going to the finals of this thing.
Yeah, I don't know, the track, we got a little hole in there, and it comes out doing a wheel stand like that, but I think we're getting some fast times. I think I have it.
Okay, where's the hole located?
Well, when I come out of the first set of cars, I come out of a bounce, and my front end doesn't hit the ramp. My back tires hit the ramp, causing me to do this dive a little, then it'll come into a wheel stand.
Rod Litzow with a wild and woolly win. He is moving to the championship round, and we have got two more to go to find out who is going to face him for the honors here in Nassau Coliseum. Will it be the Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter, Chevrolet against John Moore? No problem with Moore.
Moore trying to keep that upset streak going. He's not going to do it. It's going to be an all Chevrolet final, Richard.
It is Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. He has got the win. He is going to face USA 1 for all the marbles.
Gary Porter is going to make it an all Chevrolet final. Just a simple question. Can you beat USA 1 tonight in New York City?
I think I can. I've done a lot of changing on my truck since we ran last, and I came close to beating them last time, and I think I can do it tonight.
Who will be the king of crunch car racing in New York? We'll find out straight ahead on Tuff Trax. And we are down to our final two. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tuff Trax, the championship race. USA 1, Rod Litzow against Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher.
Richard, at this point in time, only the strong survive. A Chevrolet's going to win. Which Chevrolet? We're going to find out in about 2 more seconds. I can't tell. From my viewpoint at the end of the track, we could not tell who the winner was.
Topside, the word comes. USA 1 has done it. He is back in the winner's circle. The defending national champion has won it in Long Island, New York.
Rod Litzow, USA 1, takes a very, very close race. Rod, it looked like the engine went away on you on the final run. What happened?
Yeah, in that first bounce, the blower blew off in the middle of the cars, and I don't even understand why it ran to pull me across the finish line. It got one more kick out of it, just enough to push it through.
Well, Gary Porter, you made a lot of people in New York awfully proud of you this evening. You've got nothing to be ashamed of. You are definitely on your way.
Thank you. Well, I got a little crooked there on the left side of the cars and went off of them, and Rod's a good driver.
Chevrolet's looking awfully good tonight in New York State, weren't they?
Yes, this is just the start of 89, too.
Congratulations, fellas. A job well done for both of you.
Chevrolet, number 1.
Well, the big story tonight in the Nassau Coliseum is Bigfoot. His winning streak is over. And also, USA 1, the defending national champion, is back on Tuff. For Army Armstrong, I'm Richard Leake. We'll see you again on the tracks across America with more of Tuff Trax.